I've piddled around with all kinds of crazy things all my life. I've been in school, and I've raised children, and I've had all kinds of crazy things happen. To me, humor is basically, I realize raising kids is funny, but I suppose among all of the things that I've enjoyed most in my life, it's just learning to kind of watch for the fun that's around us. And crazy things happen everywhere. It started with me when I was just a little guy, and it's kind of kept up all through the years, I suppose. But when I met my dear wife, Eleanor, we were students at Baylor. She came as a freshman my first senior year. And Baylor was sort of conservative in those days, and they did not really want us exhibiting what you basically refer to as passion on the campus. Kept the hedges cut about 6 inches tall all over the place. Made it especially tough on ministerial students who wanted to go out for devotionals. Usually took Eleanor over to the fire escape at the 7th James Baptist Church, and we'd climb up on the back of the fire escape back there, and I'd take a handkerchief out and undo the floodlight, and then we'd have devotionals. I was devoted to her, she was devoted to me. Couldn't afford to take her many places, but occasionally I'd take her to the Friday night flicks at Baylor. Now, the Friday night flicks at Baylor were Baylor's greatest contribution in the war against passion. They brought in old movies, charged you about $1, charged you a quarter to get in, should have paid you $1 to show up. You know, it was just terrible old movies. On Thursday, before they were shown on Friday, the dean of men and dean of women would go through the flick and edit out all of the kissing, hugging, and leery-looking scenes. One night we watched 43 minutes of Scotch tape. And that was in Lassie Come Home. I mean, it was just terrible. An additional feature, when they took you in, you sat in the drawing room in the Union Building at Baylor, and the screen was way up high on the wall. So you had to sit looking up at the screen. Now, it is tough to really feel passionate when both of you are looking straight up. It can be done. Also, they made you sit in cane-bottom, ladder-back chairs. I will testify, you cannot feel passionate in a cane-bottom, ladder-back chair. You can try, and we did, but it was tough. Also, the chairs had those wooden spear points on the back corners. Sit down by your girl and run your arm over there, and boom, got shish kebabbed in the big muscle, you know, it's terrible. I had a super nifty system worked out. I would run my arm through the ladder back of the chair, and old Eleanor would snuggle up to me, and we'd sit there and watch the flicks. One Friday night, we went to the flick to see a typical old flick that they brought to Baylor, sort of a local Indian makes good kind of theme. Leaping Lobo goes to Congress, or something like that. James Stewart plays the part of a fur trapper, goes out to the village to trade firewater for furs, and there falls in love with the daughter of the chief. Her name is Princess Snowflake. It's Deborah Paget wearing a wig. Well, it was a typical Hollywood scene. The minute he saw her and the minute she saw him, we knew that they were going to fall in love, and it was going to be some more kind of wonderful flick. We also knew that the dean of men and dean of women must have been at a conference and had not seen this movie. It was the first time in my 3 years at Baylor I had seen a genuine bona fide leery look. Then I ran my arm over around old Eleanor and said, all right, you know, be ready. So we proceeded to sit there and watch the movie. It got a little more tender, and every time they would look at each other, I would just hug old Eleanor over here. Well, she reached up eventually over her right shoulder and took my hand, which was over around her shoulder, and was holding my hand through the rest of the flick. I got to be honest, I have never liked holding hands in the flicks. That's the sweatiest thing I have ever done. About every 5 minutes, you got to come out and dry your hand off and go back in there for some more, you know. Another thing, Eleanor and I had a nifty little system we'd worked out for holding hand in church during the prayers. That was kind of frowned on at Baylor, so we'd kind of hold under our elbows here, snuggle over. And I'd squeeze her hand 3 times, and that said, I love you. She'd squeeze mine twice. How much? And then I'd go, hurrah! Just really let her have it, man. So and sometimes I'd squeeze so hard we'd squirt apart. And I'd be over here looking around, you know. So we're sitting here watching this flick, and it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, rah! 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, rah! Movie progressed. James Stewart was deeply in love with Princess Snowflake and decided that he wanted to leave the white village, ask her to leave the Indian village, go out and start their own village. By Thursday, if possible. So he went to talk to the chief. Chief sitting bicycle or something like that. Chief bicycle. Yes, White Hunter. I've come to propose marriage to your beautiful daughter Snowflake. And I want to give you to give me permission. And the chief said, well, I said, you'll have to talk to her. Said, you can't do anything to these weird teenagers nowadays. Told him where to find her, and he went down. Sure enough, there she was, down doing laundry at the local running brook Easy Wash. Out knee-deep in cold water all, slapping leather laundry on boulders, wringing it out, and tossing it up into the dirt on the bank. James Stewart walks up. It's another typical Hollywood scene. Wearing boots with spurs jingling, walking in leaves that are dry and crisp like big post toasties, coming along, and she doesn't hear him. He speaks her name, Snowflake, and she melts. Gives her his hand, she comes up out of the watered laundry, floats off down the creek. She's standing there holding his hands. He pledges his love to her. She pledges her love to him. He holds her elbows. She pledges some more of her love to him. He pledges some more of it. And eventually they are just hugging up a storm, proposing marriage. Yes, I'll leave. I'll go with you. And pow, they kissed. The first time I had ever seen a lip-to-lip, sure enough, hanging there and root around kiss. And it was glorious. I mean, it was And I'm sitting up here going, all right, you know, like, I want to get over to the fire escape and practice that, you know, let's go, let's get out of here. Well, as I did that, several people behind us started giggling. And I'm thinking, this is my girl sitting in the flick. We're holding hands. We're engaged. If we want to do a little bit of this kind of stuff, squeeze 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, aha, that's our business. And I look around to go, at whoever it is. And when I turn around, I discover for the last 20 minutes, I've been holding hands with J.O. Stewart. At some point, he reached up and got my hand, and I'm just, you know. Eleanor's sitting there with her arms folded, just, For the next month at Baylor, if any of the guys, even on the football team, saw me walking along, they'd run up and grab my hand. Hi, Grady, you know, and